Is it on? Okay, let's try this again. Such a wonderful, profound lesson. We were in the middle of a prayer and then technical difficulties. So I'm trusting that you can see me, that you can hear me, and I'm trusting in what feels often like a clunky dance in consciousness, out picturing as experience. We're going to allow each and every moment of this time together, whatever it contains, however it unfolds. Watch your minds at this moment. Watch the interpretations of what is happening. I'm watching mine. All of it. As we include, as we lean into all of it, as we allow for imperfection, the allowing of imperfection is the portal through which perfection unfolds. And so, whatever portion of the opening prayer you heard or did not hear, let's allow this moment, this breath, this piece of dancing to be our prayer, and so it is. Amen. So, whether you are watching on our website on unitypalmbeach.com, whether you are joining us through Facebook, whatever experience you may be having, whatever portion of this you're seeing, not seeing, hearing, not hearing, I welcome you. I welcome you to this, and I particularly welcome you to your relationship to it. Your relationship to what is unfolding. It's always, always, always about framing. And so just feel whether you are open or whether you are closed, whether you are relaxed or whether you are resistant, whether you are allowing this imperfect dance in consciousness to move through you, or whether it's becoming lodged and stuck in interpretations that it should be otherwise. It's always a choice, my friends. It's always a choice. We're going to move right into our daily word. If you want to know more about what's happening, whether you are a member of Unity of the Palm Beaches or whether you are visiting for the very first time on this virtual experience, in this virtual experience, check out the website, sign up for our newsletter, The Conscious Connection. You can do all of that at the website. We invite you to participate. We have a full roster of activities happening. Most of that is on Zoom, and so partake as you will. Our daily word, which will be followed by our meditation and prayer, our daily word perfectly is world peace. World peace. The affirmation for today: I contribute to peace in the world. I want to invite you, even before we go into the text of that, I contribute to peace in the world. I remind you that every single moment of our lives is a contribution. And so we're either contributing peace by the peace that is within us, or we are contributing conflict based on how we are locked into resistance of what is. I've shared with some of you before, I come from a long heritage of resistance, a great family of resistors. And so for me, each and every moment that I can be peaceful with what is a moment that I celebrate, because it's always a dance. And so I am all about contributing to a world of peace. If you're watching, if you're on the other side of that camera lens, I know that at some level you're all about world peace as well. And so I contribute to world peace the affirmation for today, May 3rd, 2020. The text: when I learn of conflict in my community or in my world, my response may be frustration, sadness, or anger. If I have those feelings, I remember that I am more than merely human. I am a living expression of God, heir to all that God is. I use my divine faculties of wisdom, understanding, and love to create the abiding peace that is my birthright. Centered in divine peace, I realize that every person is as much an expression of God as I am. As differences dissolve in a way that transcends human understanding, I come to know oneness with all the world's people. I let this realization shape my response to every person and every situation. In an awareness of my oneness with all people, my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to peace in the world. The scripture from the 17th chapter of John, the 22nd verse: the glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. World peace. I contribute to peace in the world. Our wonderful licensed Unity teacher and associate spiritual leader and musician extraordinaire, Trish Yancey, will sing us into our time of prayer and meditation. Please join me.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray.
So again, I invite you to bring your attention to your breath, to your heart, to the aliveness that is down within your body. Being aware with me that even as we are in this world, the world quite literally is within us. And so if there is to be peace within our world, there must be peace within us. Peace. Down inside of my heart. Peace permeating my internal atmosphere. Peace resonating. Peace radiating. See if you can drop down into the deeper level of peace that already is. Just as our daily word pointed to the peace that is God peace, is our very withinness. The peace that already is contextual. It is subjective. And in our humanity, it becomes relational. And so as outpicturings in this world become more challenging, more troublesome, even more tragic, it is in and from the peace within that I choose to relate. I am peaceful relating. And as I relate peacefully, peace radiates out into this world. Whatever the external, I am peace. And so we allow the words to fade away as we steep together in the peace that is Source God. And so slowly, gently, we bring back the words. The sounds, the song, continuing to be mindful of that contextual piece that is our inner being. And so it is. Amen.
I used to think I had to have my own way, could do everything on my own, living my life like a one-woman play, feeling confused and alone. I held on tight to the life that I knew, till it wasn't the life I remembered. Finally admitting I hadn't a clue, opened my arms and surrendered. And I made room for grace, just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day, since I made room for grace. I want to live without making demands, asking for help when I need it, being happy, just doing the best that I can. When I stumble, I won't be defeated. Since I made room for grace, just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day, since I made room for grace. Open If I had insisted on all that I wanted, I see I'd have sold myself short. But when I stopped resisting, I got what I needed and so much more. Since I made room while the blessings arrive every day. Since I made room for grace, since I made room for grace.
Thank you, Trish. That was Trish Yancey, as many of you know. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful singer, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. The song, I really pray that you heard at least some of the lyrics. Again, we're dancing with the technology during this time, but that song is a song by composer, lyricist Sue Riley. She's actually the musical director at Unity of Clearwater, the head of our Posse, what is called the Posse Music. And that song is called I Made Room for Grace. And I love the feel of that song. I love the lyrics. I love the way Trish sings it. And it so reminds me that though the word grace has, it tends to have a very religious, perhaps, connotation to it. In particular, Christian religion. One of the most famous hymns of all time, Amazing Grace. But grace, I'm going to say something that may seem a little ridiculous, maybe. Won't be the first time, won't be the last, I'm sure. But grace already is. And so grace is something, just as is what we call God, as we spoke about in our daily world, peace. Grace already is. God already is. Peace already is. All of the capacities, the qualities, the attributes of this force, this thing that we call God, it already is. And for we as human beings in this experience of duality, oftentimes religion and spiritual pursuits can feel like we're trying to get to, or we're trying to have the experience of this thing called God, or we're trying to get somehow to grace, when the entire spiritual awakening is about the awakening to what already is. So in the sentiment, in the profound, simple message of that particular lyric, I made room. I made room for grace. I'm here to make room, to be a space in which the God of my being can freely express, that grace can become expressed as me. Grace defined in various ways, but grace means that for me, no matter how dark times seem to be, no matter how much suffering, loss, grief, war, limitation, no matter how much of that exists, that those experiences or those effects of duality are always occurring within the unified field, as we call it scientifically. It's all happening inside of God. It's all happening by virtue of the laws of consciousness, which, remember, Unity's 5 basic principles, which we're really deepening into those during this year of 2020, those 5 basic principles, as may I humbly, if you will, abbreviate them. God already is. Grace already is. All that God is already is. First principle, one presencing power already is. I am forever, eternally within that one. I am of that. I am that. So God is, and because God is, I am. The third principle, there is a law. The law of mind action, as we call it in Unity and in other New Thought spirituality, the law of mind action, meaning that where I focus my attention, the thoughts that I choose to think, and the thoughts that, primarily, the thoughts that I choose to believe, the thoughts that I imbue with feeling become my reality, and so a felt reality out into the world. And so everything that is by virtue of that law. So my focused attention energizes consciousness, and that focused attention into consciousness becomes law. We are given dominion and authority here in this realm of the human, in this realm of the relative. And so I get to choose, by virtue of the law, the experience that I have. The fourth basic, profound, basic Unity principle. Pray. I pray the law. I follow the law. God is, I am. There is a law of consciousness. I pray the law because God and the law is within me. When I follow the laws of God and I pray that law, and from a place of prayerfulness, when I make room for grace and then follow the movement of grace in time and space reality, I take inspired action from a place of grace, and grace unfolds as my individual experience, and then I make a contribution to the collective. And so right now in particular, this is a time when we get to look at the collective out picturing. You know, sometimes I believe the most authentic prayer, if you will, that we can ever utter is help. Help. Right now, we are looking at a collective out-picturing in consciousness. And we are seeing what we have collectively, how we have collectively used the laws of consciousness. And then what human beings tend to do is we go to war with the effects of our consciousness as if they have nothing to do with this, as if the out there is independent somehow of the in here. The radical nature of unity is that unity, all is one. The invitation of grace is to allow the oneness to emerge from center to circumference. The out there is an out picturing of what is in here. What I do not know, I do not know. becomes outpictured as effect so that I may have a conscious relationship to it. But regardless of what I project out as my manifest reality, grace still exists. Peace still exists. That's always there, awaiting my choice to make room for it. So I share with you the last couple of weeks, I believe, that I chose the topics for the last few months. I chose them earlier than I normally do. I was committed to spending this year of 2020, our overriding, our umbrella theme, if you will, here at Unity of the Palm Beaches is Vision 2020. Vision 2020, a whole new world within me now. And so we're allowing a whole new world within me now to unfold first as vision and then as manifest reality. And so every month of this year of 2020, I'm inviting you to join me in applying those 5 unity principles, and we're utilizing each month of our year. We're taking one of the spiritual capacities, the spiritual attributes that our co-founder Charles Fillmore gifted us with. There are 12 of them, and we've been looking at one of those faculties each and every month of this year. So here we are, unbelievably, for me at least, already here we are in May. And so January, we looked at the capacity of imagination. February, we looked at the capacity of love, which I believe is really the foundation of every single one of our capacities. It is the ultimate attribute. So imagination, we have love. In March, we looked at understanding. In April, we looked at life. In May, today, we are beginning our exploration of wisdom or judgment, meaning not human judgment, but the judgment of discernment. We'll be exploring that. And so I called today's talk May Day before I knew how relative that would be. So Friday, May 1st, observed as May Day. May Day historically has really 3 different meanings. The first meaning, May Day, has always been for a long time. May Day is a spring festival from the Celtic tradition originally. The May pole dances, a festival of spring. So May Day applied as that. First, a spring festival. Secondly, a labor movement. And thirdly, May Day meaning a call for distress. And so as I look at those 3 different applications of May Day, I've been so aware that, the third, the call for distress, is said, traditionally it's said 3 times. So you say May Day, May Day, May Day. Primarily, not exclusively, but primarily applied to ships and to airplanes. And so if a ship is sinking, what you will hear over the radio 3 times as a call for distress is Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. If an airplane begins to descend, if a plane begins to fall, you will hear the statement of distress, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. And so as I look at that and I explore that for myself, we are in a cosmic time of Mayday, 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 that something is sinking and something is falling, and we are in distress as all of humanity cosmically. We are in a time of great distress. And so I can feel how really all three of those are applicable, at least for me. Here we are, May, we're in spring, we're in springtime. We're in a time where unemployment is occurring at record numbers, and we're in a time of great distress. So all three of those really are profoundly applicable. And so as we look at that call, as we look at that cry for Mayday, as we are humble enough, we've been kind of forced into a timeout, and if we will allow this time of distancing, of staying, for those of us who are able to stay mostly in our homes, and as we recognize that there's this tension between the time out, the staying apart, the Mayday of feeling this distress, which is universal. How we relate to that, how we relate to this time out, there's, and we're seeing it so profoundly now, and largely because of that labor, that unemployment, the level of unemployment is unprecedented. And so people are frightened. And so we're frightened to be out there amid this pandemic, the incredible contagion, and yet there are people who, of course, are frightened and struggling and becoming panicked about losing their income. And so we are wanting, we're wanting to somehow control this. We're wanting to stay away from the contagion, but we're also crying out at the same, we're crying distress, but we're also crying out to get back to normal. And so we're seeing these demonstrations, particularly around our country, guns in state houses and people screaming and in panic and in distress and in fearfulness, wanting to get back to normal. But for me at least, normal was and is the problem. And so when we rely on our own devices, when we want to get back to what is normal, normal was not and will not be sustainable. And so when we look at what was normal, if we go more deeply into that, what was unfolding, the way in which, and we've talked about this in recent weeks, the way in which we have been treating our planet measurably not sustainable, the way in which we have treated each other. And we're seeing this again. See, we're looking at the best and the worst of humanity at this time. And those polarities, when we can look at both, when we can hold both, when we have the courage and the bravery to look at both and be able to compassion, when we look at the helpers, the healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, the respiratory therapists, those on the front lines, sitting next to, holding iPads and phones so that family members can at least catch a glimpse of their dying relatives, their spouses, their loved ones. They cannot be there because of the contagion. And so those people with barely enough masks and protective gear sit right there next to those who take their final breaths. They bear witness to life going back into the realm of immortality. We have the helpers. We have those working in our grocery stores, our sanitation workers, our transit workers, all of those on the front lines who are helping. And then, in addition, we have the critics. And I have certainly found, and in seminary, they don't tell you how much criticism there will be when you're on the front lines helping. They don't prepare you for that, at least not in my seminary. And so I've had to learn that on the front lines. And I've had to learn that, generally speaking, not exclusively, but generally speaking, those who are helping are spending too much time and energy and devotion helping to expend a lot of energy criticizing or judging. And so back to our theme, wisdom, the wisdom of our source doesn't judge, or at least doesn't stop with human judgment. It allows something more to come through. It recognizes that stopping and crying out, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Look, in 12-step wisdom, our best thinking got us here. That for me is so profound, and my best thinking got me to where I am today. And so if I want to go back to normal, my normal is not sustainable. Our collective normal is not sustainable. So it never occurred to me personally, and maybe it did for you. And so I bless you where you are residing. For me, it never occurred to me that my freedom was being taken away by being told to socially distance. It never occurred to me. What occurred to me was, oh, wow, our medical genius is saying, stay home, minimize your risk of catching this, wear a mask if you do go out, not for your sake, but for the sake of others. My freedom isn't violated. My freedom is ensured that I can sustain myself through this and be of help to do whatever I can to be of service during this time. Kids, beloveds, my spiritual family, the last thing that my personality wants to do is to come here and to stare into a camera and to have technical glitches week after week after week. To know that my wondrous team of people are really trying to resolve this, to know that this internet experience is strained to the max because of the number of communities trying to get the message out, trying to be of comfort, trying to be of support. In my personality self, and as somebody who spent a long time in front of cameras, I want this to work. And it's not always working. And wisdom says to me, there will be There will be glitches. There can be glitches. It's not like the activity of the law means, oh, there never will be mistakes. The activity of the law is my peace, my wisdom cannot be disturbed, or at least will not remain disturbed based on what is out picturing out there. My inner authority is my way of relating. And so I can cry out Mayday. I can recognize that of myself, I'm sinking. Of myself, I'm falling. But I am not of myself. And as a culture, we are historically controlling beings. And oftentimes, New Thought spirituality gets presented as, if you apply these principles, you'll be able to control your way here on planet Earth. If that's your attempts, go for it. For me, that's not what this spirituality is about. This spirituality is about Mayday. God is. Mayday. I am. Mayday. There is a law of consciousness that when I choose to be governed by it, when I relate from it, when I surrender into the law, when I relax into that, when I open to it, when I allow that law to govern this imperfect being who wants to control the outpicturing, guess what? I tried every which way but loose. And the more I tried to control, the more deeply I sank. And I fell. Now I get it. It's not about my personality controlling the appearances. It's not about me controlling coronavirus. It's about me bringing a wakeful attention to it and recognizing that everything that is currently happening is happening in our source. It's happening in grace. It's happening in a peace that passeth understanding, as the scriptures invite us into. So wisdom is knowing that I am not in control. Wisdom is knowing that God is. And my opinion of externals is what is distressing me. And so when I awaken and allow something greater to come through, whatever the appearance, I am at peace. And when I am at peace with whatever is transformed, and I begin to see a world that is more at peace. Consciousness moves from center to circumference. And so just for me, whatever's occurring is for my good. Whatever is occurring, I'm choosing to learn from. I am allowing the outpicturing, the mirroring of my own consciousness to bring me to a deeper place within. And I invite you into that same reality. Mayday, the spring of our own awakening. Less laboring, less trying to control, less trying to push and resist. Stop. Allow help. Criticize less. Cooperate more. Allow more. Relax into allow the flow, as we talked about last week. There is a flow of consciousness that when it is unobstructed, when we get out of the way, we become the way. So wisdom, my beloveds, is Mayday. 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 And so it is. Make room for grace. Amen. So I deeply appreciate you being here. I pray that you at least caught some of this. It will be archived if you were in and out. It is, again, the strain on the overall internet is it's not necessarily our individual whatever we are doing here. We are committed to be here. I'm committed to be here. And I am so appreciative for all of you who have joined. I did receive some feedback this week that I've been deeply grateful for. So somebody did suggest that they were surprised and somewhat distressed, and I know that this person is watching, so thank you for the lesson that you gave me. I've been really marinating with it. They're surprised and distressed that they've heard me talking about money. So they also reinforced that there was a little small group that was talking about the same thing. So I really appreciate that feedback, and I did allow it to come down in, and I guess it may be surprising. Number one, when we are together, I don't have to talk about money because the board president talks about money. So also, we are at a time, again, unprecedented in the long history of this organization. We are not together, so our classes, our Sunday experience, we're not able to collect offerings through anything that we are currently giving. And so if I'm talking about money, it is so that you know that we are only sustainable based on the donations that we receive from you. If you're watching on Facebook, as I have said before, if you choose, number one, to participate in the outpicturing of the sustainability of Unity of the Palm Beaches, by law, as we give, so shall we receive. So part of my job as your current spiritual leader is that I need to make you aware that we are bringing in less. Now, we've received one or two really sizable donations that are really helpful for us, but it's all our jobs. So if you're watching on Facebook, it takes us a long time to receive those funds. So if you would go to unitypalmbeach.com, and if you would choose to participate in giving there, that money is immediate update for us. So I really, again, I appreciate that feedback. The last thing that I want to do is talk about money. And when we are fully sustainable and when everybody is utilizing the laws of consciousness and of giving, and when we are sustainable based on what you are giving, even though we are not together, then I will not have to talk about it. So wow, will that be a great day. And I'm holding the space that we're going to move into that deep knowing that where we are spiritually fed, we give. It's a matter of priority. So I'm happy to not talk about it anymore, but that's contingent on all of us showing up, giving, reoccurring donations, sustain this, make it a priority, and then we'll celebrate that there will be no more talk of it from me. So I really look forward to that. So thank you, thank you, thank you for the feedback. And until we are sustainable, I'm going to keep talking about money. It's a form of abundance. It's a form of energy. So give. Let's celebrate giving. Let's celebrate the fact that we can be together even when we are physically apart. And let's celebrate the fact that we are going to be led through our peace song by the wonderful Trish Yancey. We'll be, again, on Zoom this week. Check out the Conscious Connection. Check out the website. All of our Zoom events and everything are there. You can get the links through our office. And it's a pleasure. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be with you. So let there be peace on earth, let it begin with me. Trish? Thank you, Trish. Thank you all.